Picture this. You're counting your change after buying a coffee, and you spot a shiny 2017 penny. You barely look at it before tossing it in your pocket. After all, it's just a cent, right? But what if I told you that a coin just like that, an ordinary-looking 2017 Lincoln cent, could be worth thousands of dollars? The secret lies in details so small that most people never notice them. Yet to a trained eye, they can transform a single cent into a collector's dream. Hidden minting errors, rare anomalies, and transitional quirks can turn what seems like pocket change into life-changing finds. The 2017 Lincoln penny already hold a unique place in modern U.S. coinage. That year marked the first time in over 225 years of U.S. mint history that a P mint mark appeared on the Lincoln cent, signifying the Philadelphia Mint. Prior to 2017, Philadelphia pennies carried no mint mark at all, so this seemingly small change created an instant conversation among collectors. It was done as part of a special recognition of the U.S. Mint's 225th anniversary, and for a single year, every Philadelphia penny proudly wore its P. To most people, it was nothing more than an extra letter, but for collectors, it meant the start of a hunt for varieties, errors, and unique strikes that could command serious premiums. What makes the 2017 P penny especially interesting is how many different kinds of errors emerged from that year's production. The U.S. Mint struck billions of them, and in such massive production runs, mistakes are inevitable. One of the most sought after is the double die obverse, a coin where the design elements, especially in Liberty or in God We Trust, appear doubled, crisp, and clear, as if the coin has a ghosted echo of itself. These errors happen during the die-making process when the die receives multiple misaligned impressions from a hub. Each double die is unique, and strong examples can fetch hundreds or even thousands depending on their condition and rarity. But the double dies are just the beginning. Some 2017 P cents were struck on planchets meant for other coins, like copper-plated zinc blanks of incorrect weight or even blanks intended for foreign currency that the Philadelphia Mint was producing at the same time. Imagine finding a penny that's too light, too heavy, or a completely different color than normal. It's not just strange, it's potentially worth thousands. These wrong planchet errors often slip into circulation unnoticed, blending in until someone with a keen eye spots them. There are also dramatic strike errors from that year. Off-center strikes where the design is pushed far to one side, leaving a crescent of smooth metal. Broad strikes where the collar failed and the coin spread out wider than usual, and die clashes where parts of the reverse design are faintly visible on the obverse. The result of dies striking each other without a planchet in between. Each one tells a story of an industrial process pushed to its limits, of machinery moving at blistering speeds, and of the occasional slip that creates a one-of-a-kind collectible. What makes these errors so captivating is the human side of their discovery. Take the case of a coin roll hunter in Pennsylvania who, in 2018, bought a box of 2017 P pennies directly from the bank. Sifting through them under a bright desk lamp, he spotted one coin that looked off. The Liberty seemed doubled, the P mint mark slightly stretched. After sending it off to a grading service, it came back authenticated as a major double die, one of the strongest known for that year. Within months, it sold at auction for over $2,000. That's the kind of find that turns casual collectors into lifelong enthusiasts. The market for 2017 P era pennies has been strong since their release. Collectors know that this was a one-year-only mint mark, so even ordinary examples in pristine condition are worth holding on to. High-grade, uncirculated coins, especially those graded MS 68 or higher, can already bring in significant money simply because of their novelty and condition rarity. Add in an error, whether it's a double die, a clipped planchet, or an extreme misstrike, and the value can soar. From a historical perspective, the 2017 P penny feels like a modern landmark. While older coins like the 1955 double die or the 1909 SVB cent get most of the glory, the 2017 P represents a rare moment where the mint deliberately changed something about the cent's design after more than a century of consistency. It's a reminder that even in the age of computerized minting and strict quality control, surprises still happen, and history can be made in the smallest details. For seasoned numismatists, these coins represent an exciting chapter in an ongoing story, proof that great rarities aren't just buried in the distant past. For everyday people, they're a chance to participate in that story. You don't need an expensive collection or decades of experience to find one. All you need is curiosity, patience, and a willingness to look closely at the change in your hand. Think about it. Billions of 2017 pennies are still circulating. They're in cash registers, piggy banks, tip jars, and coffee shop counters all across America. Somewhere among them are the double dies, the misstrikes, the wrong planchets, coins that most people overlook, but that could be worth a small fortune. The thrill of the hunt is alive and well. And it's as close as your pocket change point. One of the most cinematic things about coin collecting is the moment of realization. You pick up a coin, maybe just out of habit, and something about it catches your eye. You tilt it under the light. The letters look strange. You feel a rush of possibility. Maybe you grab a magnifying glass or take a quick photo to compare with online guides. In that moment, you're no longer just holding a penny. You're holding a mystery, a puzzle piece from the Mint's production floor, a tiny artifact that could rewrite what you thought you knew about modern coins. Auction records show just how much the right error can command. Dramatic 2017. Pennies strikes have sold for over $3,000. Wrong planchet errors have topped $5,000 in high-grade examples. Even subtle double dies can easily reach four figures. And the market isn't slowing down. These coins are still young, and their scarcity in certain varieties means demand could rise as more collectors realize their significance. The beauty of the 2017 penny is that it bridges two worlds. It's modern enough that you could find one of your change tomorrow, but special enough that it already has a place in numismatic history. It's proof that you don't have to travel back in time to find a valuable coin. Sometimes history comes to you in the most unexpected ways, here's the takeaway. Check your pennies, especially those from 2017 with the P mint mark. Look for doubling in the letters and date. Check the weight to see if it's off. Look for off-center designs, clipped edges, or any other anomalies. And if you find something unusual, don't dismiss it. Research it, get it authenticated, and you might just be holding a coin worth thousands. The next time you get penny and change, take a second before you let it slip through your fingers. Tilt it under the light. Let your eyes trace the date, the mint mark, the tiny details that most people ignore. Somewhere out there, the next great find is waiting for someone who's willing to look just a little closer. And who knows? That someone could be you. Imagine reaching into your pocket for some spare change and pulling out a simple copper penny. You glance at it for a moment, maybe notice the date, and then toss it onto the counter without a second thought. After all, it's just a penny, right? But what if I told you that one particular penny, a 1958 Lincoln wheat cent, could be worth not just a few dollars, not just a few hundred, but thousands, and in some cases, far more than that? The secret lies in details so small that most people would never notice them. Yet to collectors, they're worth a fortune. The 1958 Lincoln wheat penny seems like an unremarkable relic from the past. It's the last year of the wheat reverse design, a style that had been in place since Lincoln first graced the cent in 1909. Two wheat stalks frame the words 1 cent on the reverse, a design meant to symbolize prosperity and unity. On the obverse, Lincoln's familiar profile faces right, the date neatly stamped beside him. Billions of these pennies were minted, over 252 million in Philadelphia alone that year, so the odds of one being rare seem impossible. But that's the magic of coin collecting. Even in a sea of billions, there are anomalies so scarce they turn a humble coin into a numismatic marvel point. One of the most famous 1958 rarities is the 1958 double die obverse. At first glance, you might think the coin just looks odd. But look closer, much closer, and you'll see the magic. The words liberty and in God we trust appear boldly doubled, as if the text is shadowed or echoed. The date, 1958, also carries this strong doubling. It's not the kind of doubling caused by wear or damage. This is a crisp, intentional doubling born from a mistake deep in the coin's creation process. Don't understand why this happened. Picture the mint in the late 1950s. Coin dies, which are used to strike the designs onto blank planchets, are created by impressing a hub into a die multiple times. If the die shifts between impressions, the result is a doubled design. Most double dies are caught early, destroyed before they ever strike coins. But a tiny number of 1958 double die obverse coins slipped through quality control and entered circulation. Fewer than 3 examples are confirmed to exist today, making this coin one of the rarest and most sought-after Lincoln cents in history. The story of how one was discovered is the kind of thing that turns everyday people into passionate treasure hunters. In the early 1980s, a collector stumbled across a strange-looking penny in a roll purchased from a bank. The doubling was so pronounced, it practically shouted from the coin's surface. That discovery, later authenticated by top grading services, sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. This wasn't just another variety. It was a major rarity from one of the most widely collected U.S. coin series. Auction results for this coin are jaw-dropping. A pristine example sold for over $336,000 at auction, a staggering sum for something with a face value of 1 cent. Even in lower grades, the value remains astronomical due to the coin's extreme rarity. Think about that for a moment. A single penny, the kind most people pass over without a glance, holding the same worth as a luxury car or even a house down payment. But the 1958 wheat penny isn't just about the double die. Errors from this year can take many forms. Some coins were struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine a penny design struck on a silver dime blank, or on a thin steel planchet left over from the wartime years. Others display off-center strikes, where the design is pushed to one side, leaving a crescent of blank space. Some have broad strikes, missing part of their rim entirely. Each of these errors tells a different story about the chaos and complexity of minting millions of coins at high speed. There's also something bittersweet about the 1958 wheat penny. It marks the end of an era. The following year, in 1959, the reverse design switched to the Lincoln Memorial, a nod to the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The wheat design, beloved by collectors for decades, was gone from circulation. That makes the 1958 coins feel like the last chapter in a long, proud tradition, and for many collectors, owning one, especially a rare variety, feels like holding a piece of history. From a historical perspective, 1958 was a year of transition for America. Dwight D. Eisenhower was president, NASA was in its infancy, and the country was on the brink of the space age. Against this backdrop, the wheat penny quietly went about its business, passing from hand to hand, paying for candy, newspapers, and gasoline that cost just 25 cents a gallon. Little did anyone know that a few of those pennies were destined for a much grander stage. For collectors, the thrill lies not just in the value, but in the hunt. Imagine poring over a box of old coins inherited from a relative, or sifting through rolls from your local bank, and suddenly spotting something unusual about a penny's lettering. Your heart skips a beat. You grab a magnifying glass. Could it be? The excitement in that moment is something only coin hunters truly understand. A mix of hope, curiosity, and adrenaline. Even seasoned numismatists, with decades of experience, still get that spark when they find something special. They know that every rare coin is a survivor, a piece of metal that beat the odds. For the 1958 double die obverse, the odds are almost unfathomable. 3 known examples out of over 250 million struck. It's the ultimate needle in a haystack. Auction houses love these coins because they bring drama and spectacle. Bidding wars erupt, with collectors vying not just for a coin, but for the bragging rights of owning one of the rarest pennies ever minted. The atmosphere in the room is electric, each raise of the paddle pushing the price higher, the tension mounting until the hammer finally falls. For those of us who will never spend 6 figures on a penny, there's still hope. Rare coins are found in the wild every year. People bring jars of change to coin shops, thinking they're worth little more than face value, only to walk out with a check for thousands. Others find rarities at flea markets, garage sales, or in forgotten drawers. The key is knowledge, knowing what to look for and being willing to take the time to look. So here's your takeaway. Check your pennies, especially the wheat pennies, and especially the ones from 1958. Look closely at the date, the lettering, the design details. If you spot doubling that's crisp and uniform, or an unusual blank space with a strike missed, you might be holding something truly special. And don't forget, these coins aren't just about money. They're about history, craftsmanship, and the fascinating quirks of the minting process. The next time you hold a penny, remember that it could be more than just change. It could be a doorway into a story that spans decades, from the mint workers who struck it, to the countless hands it passed through, to the moment you discover its secret. Somewhere out there, maybe even in your pocket right now, is a coin waiting to surprise you. And if you're lucky enough to find it, you'll join the ranks of those who know that in the world of coin collecting, the smallest treasures often carry the biggest stories. Imagine holding a coin so small, so ordinary, that you've probably handled hundreds of them without giving a second thought. A single penny, tossed into your change jar, slipped into the couch cushions, or jingling in your pocket. Now imagine that same penny quietly holding the power to change your day, your month, maybe even your year. This isn't a fantasy. This is the story of the 1992 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that in certain rare forms has stunned collectors and set auction floors buzzing with excitement. And here's the kicker. Most people who've owned one didn't even realize they were holding a numismatic treasure worth thousands. The 1992 Lincoln penny looks like any other at first glance. Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile graces the obverse, just as it has since 1909. The Lincoln Memorial sits proudly on the reverse, a design that's been in use since 1959. But here's where the magic lies. In the tiniest of details, the kind only an experienced collector or a very lucky person with a sharp eye might spot. In this case, the Holy Grail is known as the 1992 Close AM variety. On most pennies, the A and M in the word America on the reverse are spaced apart. But for this rare variety, they're close together, almost touching. Why is this such a big deal? Because the Close AM was never supposed to appear on circulation pennies in 1992. It was intended for proof coins struck at the San Francisco Mint, not for everyday change. Somehow, whether through a mix-up in the die preparation process or an intentional test that leaked into general circulation, some of these Close AM coins escaped into the hands of the public. And that's where our story starts to feel like a treasure hunt. Imagine a coin production floor in the early 1990s. Dies are prepared, coins are struck at high speed, and quality checks are routine. For the Denver and Philadelphia mints, billions of 1992 pennies were minted. In the rush and repetition, a proof die intended for special sets was accidentally or mysteriously used to strike regular coins. Those coins, indistinguishable to the casual eye, made their way into circulation, hidden in grocery store tills, fast food change, and bankrolls. Decades later, their scarcity was finally recognized, and the hunt began. Collectors will tell you that the thrill isn't just in owning such a coin, it's in the chase. People have spent hours, days, even years sorting through penny rolls, eyes straining under magnifiers, hoping to find that elusive Close AM. And the payoff? At auction, pristine, uncirculated examples have sold for over $20,000. Even circulated versions in decent condition can fetch hundreds or thousands, depending on their grade and luster. For something worth 1 cent in the eyes of the cashier, that's a staggering leap in value. But it's not just the Close AM that makes the 1992 penny worth a second look. Errors from this year can come in many flavors. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, double die obverse where Lincoln's features or inscriptions appear doubled. These anomalies happen when dies are misaligned or designs are accidentally duplicated in the hubbing process. The result is a coin that's not only rare, but also visually striking. A double die obverse on a 1992 penny might show a bold, ghostly echo of liberty or the date, making it unmistakable once spotted. The Lincoln cent itself has a rich history. Introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person's portrait. Over the decades, it's evolved in composition, from a 95% copper coins of the early years to the copper-plated zinc cents we know today. By 1992, the penny's face value far exceeded its metal value, but its symbolic value remained strong. It's a coin that's been part of countless milestones. A child's first saved coin, a lucky charm kept in a wallet, a silent witness to everyday commerce. That's part of what makes the Close AM and other 1992 errors so enchanting. They take something deeply familiar and give it an air of mystery. They turn the mundane into the extraordinary. They remind us that in the most ordinary places, at the bottom of a drawer, in a parking meter, extraordinary things can hide. One of the most famous finds came from an unsuspecting collector in the Midwest. He had been searching through rolls of pennies from his local bank, mostly out of habit. After hours of looking, he spotted the Close AM on a lightly circulated 1992 D penny. He sent it to a grading service, and the result came back as an AU, about uncirculated grade. That coin later sold for thousands of dollars at auction, enough to cover several months' worth of bills. Stories like this keep the search alive, inspiring both seasoned numismatists and casual hobbyists to check their change. Auction records add fuel to the fire. A Gem Mint State 1992 D Close AM penny once commanded over $20,000 at heritage auctions. Other examples, though less pristine, have sold for between $1,000 and $5,000. And while these numbers can vary with market trends and collector demand, the fact remains, the right penny from the right year in the right condition can be worth far more than its face value. That it's easy to think of coins as static objects, unchanging bits of metal, but each one has a story. The 1992 penny story is one of accidental rarity, of a mistake that became a legend in the numismatic community. It's a story that bridges everyday life and the specialized world of coin collecting, reminding us that history isn't just in museums, it's in our hands. And here's where the nostalgia comes in. Think back to the first time you noticed something unusual about a coin. Maybe it was a wheat penny in your change, or a silver dime found in a jar. There's a spark of curiosity, a moment when you realize that not all coins are created equal. That same spark drives collectors to keep searching, to keep learning, and to keep appreciating the craft and quirks of minting. For anyone watching this, the takeaway is simple but powerful. Check your change. Look closely at your pennies, especially those from 1992. Get a magnifier, learn the telltale signs of the close AM, and keep an eye out for other unusual features. The US Mint has produced billions of coins, but only a tiny fraction bear the kind of errors that make them valuable to collectors. Finding one is a bit like winning a small lottery, except the ticket is a coin you've probably already got in your pocket. The beauty of this hobby is that it's accessible to everyone. You don't need a fortune to start collecting, just curiosity, patience, and attention to detail. And while not every coin you examine will turn out to be rare, each one connects you to a larger story. The story of American history, craftsmanship, and the countless hands through which that coin has passed. So the next time you hear the clink of change in your hand, remember the story of the 1992 Lincoln penny. Remember that hidden treasures often look like ordinary things. And remember that your next great find might be waiting in the very next penny you see. Search your jars, your pockets, your car's cup holder, because you never know. That humble 1-cent coin could be your ticket to holding a piece of numismatic history, and maybe, just maybe, a life-changing payday.